Hey everyone, Demon BrewCraft here with an intro I did not think I'd be recording, but unfortunately I am. As I was making the next episode, I have somehow lost the recorded footage of all the roll stuff. I started making all of the roll table stuff previously, and I just got done recording the map section where I go ahead and demonstrate that I've actually compounded the map section and the exclamation section into something more together so that they happen at the same time instead of separate portions like in episode 1. But since I have lost all the roll table footage, I even started having the graphics up here with all of like the circles pointing to what we roll and everything. Even if I go ahead and boot up Foundry here, have this up, I have all of the rolls I made about a week ago that started. So D15 for an ooze, a D5 for it being huge, etc., lawful neutral, all that stuff. The recording I had of me doing the rolls, and even my intro, all of that audio gone because I had a bad batch, I think, while I was recording it. And in the process of deleting that bad batch, I think I deleted the wrong videos and I've lost them before I could make the final product. So now I'm stuck with this. So unfortunately, this video is going to be a little scuffed. I explain, all the details we do end up rolling for this creature in the example section, and that's what we're going to just have to roll with for this episode. Next episode, we're going to have some changes made to the table anyways, and we're going to be using this new graphic style to show off the rolls randomized next time around. But until then, I hope you're okay with this mini version, and episode 3 will kick things back together. On a normal day in the village, a villager is kind of stumbling through town, looking around, watching the guards pass by, until he sees a particular one and immediately approaches them. The guard, somewhat caught off by surprise, looks at the villager and begins to ask him questions in common. The villager ignores these questions and immediately starts talking to the guard in Aquan. The guard, somewhat cut off by this human talking in a language he's very familiar with, as he is a shark man from the depths himself, begins to not only be surprised but be slightly delighted. The two exchange in some friendly conversation, and the villager asks where the nearest alchemist hut is. The guard points down south and gives him directions. Satisfied with this answer, the villager again talks in Aquan, and then wishes the guard a good day. The guard leaves, unsuspecting of nothing, and the villager goes ahead and follows the guard's direction to go visit the alchemist's hut. As the villager moves through the streets, he very carefully looks around him. Remembering what he's seen in the past days, this villager already knows that no one is attending this alchemist's hut at this time of the day. He quickly makes his way over to the doors, opens them up, enters the shop, and closes the doors behind him. What has gone into the shop isn't no mere villager. It is actually a creature in a disguise. The villager slowly melts down into a gooey liquid gray form with several pieces of metal protruding out of it, and transforms itself into a Metalex. A Metalex is a mutated form of a different creature ooze called an Ooblex. An Ooblex is a ooze creature that has been created by illithids to do their bidding and collect personalities and people. Metalexes were created by an accident that happened on an illithid ship after a rebellion happened. The formula to make the Ooblex was compromise, and after the ship crashed into the ocean, mixing with everything, a Metalex was born. A creature with an entirely different objective from the Ooblex. Metalexes strive to create their own communities. They're not inherently evil, but however will do anything to get their hands on metal to grow themselves and then multiply. A Metalex is a huge ooze who is lawful neutral. It has an armor class of 14, which comprises of its chain shirt and shield it usually carries around with it. It has a hit point dice of 18d12 plus 54, averaging at 171. It has a normal movement speed of 40 feet and a swim speed of 15 feet. It has a strength of 10, dexterity of 24, constitution of 16, intelligence of 13, wisdom of 11, and charisma of 24. It has a saving throw of constitution plus 7, intelligence plus 5, wisdom plus 4, and charisma plus 11. Its skill proficiencies are history of a plus 5 and intimidation of plus 11. It has a damage vulnerability to lightning, condition immunities of exhaustion, frightened, incapacitated, and unconscious. Its only sense is a passive perception of 10. It only speaks and understands Aquan, and has a challenge level of 10. This Metal X is seeking to go ahead and eat all the metal it can find, and the room it's particularly stippled into has a bunch of it. The more metal that this thing eats, the bigger it gets. It starts at around 15 feet, and then ends at around 19, which is its maximum size, at which, when it reaches its maximum size, it can go ahead and multiply. Let's go over its passives. Metal Absorption. When a Metal X comes into contact with an object made mostly of metal that is no bigger than the Metal X, it absorbs it into its body. It will also gain the result of a 45 added to its maximum hit points and heal that amount as well and grow 2 by 2 by 2 feet. Note when a Metal X is at its max size, it can still eat metallic objects, it just won't grow. It will still gain a maximum, its 45 added to its hit point maximum. Let's go over Metallic Multiply. When the Metal X is at its maximum size of 19 by 19 by 19 feet, and it's the Metal X's turn, it may use a bonus action to roll a 1d3 and make that many more clones of itself that copy the same conditions, health, and stats this Metal X currently has. This ability cannot work if the Metal X is under the condition or conditions of either frozen or petrified. Let's give that a try. So since we're at maximum size, we're going to go ahead and just assume it's the Metal X's turn. Despite it not being in combat, let's just pretend that it is. And we're going to roll a 1d3. And we land a 2. So in this instance, the Metal X is going to go ahead and multiply and create 2 more versions of itself from the original. This Metal X is then going to grow down in size back to its original 15 by 15 by 15, and these guys are going to start the process all over again. This is a metal-rich room, so when it becomes these guys' turn, they can eat and then multiply. You can see how this can very quickly get out of hand. Alter Form. When the Metal X kills another creature, it adds it to the list of personalities and forms this creature can transform into at any time or while in combat once per turn during its turn by using a bonus action. Metal X can take the exact size, tone of voice, and all other physical features that it has selected from its known collection. This creature does not copy any stats, passives, or actions of any form it has collected. It is of the DM's discretion whether or not this creature, when met, already has forms it may take on or not. Heat Stress. When an action is used against the Metal X that would cause its metal to significantly raise in temperature, such as the spell Heat Metal, all of the creature's stats drop by 8 points, and its AC drops by 5 points for 3 rounds. It is of the DM's discretion what other actions or situations trigger this ability and its debuff. Innate Spellcasting. The Metal X's innate spellcasting ability is Charisma. Spell save DC of 19 plus 11 to hit with spell attacks. It can innately cast the following spells, requiring no material components: At Will, Acid Arrow, Color Spray, Charm Person. 3 times a day each. Hold Person, Detect Thoughts, Grease. 1 time a day each. Dimension Door, Confusion, Dominate Person, Hypnotic Pattern. Let's go over actions. It can multi-attack. The Metal X makes 2 attacks of its choice, or any of the actions below, or spells it has from its innate spellcasting passive. Rush of Metal is a melee weapon attack with a plus 11 to hit, has a 5-foot range reach, and hits 1 target, dealing XD5 piercing damage. Unleash a flurry of small metallic spikes from your body at your target. The height of the metallics will determine how many d5s you will roll for this attack. Let's get out the good old training dummy and have an example here. We're going to put him in range, and we're just going to have this metallics here attack. Since this metallics has already sized itself down back to its normal default size of 15 by 15 by 15, it is 15 feet high, meaning this instance of Rush of Metal will deal a 15 d5 piercing damage. So let's try that. So this time around, it's going to deal 48 damage. But let's say this Metalix here eats a couple things around the room and grows to its 19 by 19 by 19 size. Still huge, but it's now 19 feet tall, meaning it will instead roll a 19 d5. Dealing 66 damage. So the taller the Metalix, the more damage this does. So anywhere between 15 d5 to 19 d5. Pretty significant damage difference. Of course, it depends on the rolls you get, but it can deal a lot. Constrict is a melee weapon attack with a +4 to hit. Reach of 5 feet and goes for one creature. It hits for 3d10 bludgeoning damage and grapples the target. The escape DC is up to the DM. Until the grapple ends, the creature is restrained, and the Metalix can't constrict another target. Finally, let's go for Split, its reaction. When the Metalix, that is medium or larger, is subjected to lightning or slashing damage, it splits into 2 new Metalix if it has at least 10 hit points. Each new Metalix has hit points equal to half the original Metalix's, rounded down. New Metalix are one size smaller than the original Metalix. In this example, we're going to use a Metalix at maximum HP, so it hasn't lost any health, and we'll say the HP of this Metalix, for example's sake, is 170. What happens next is this Metalix is going to now divide itself. The damage will be dealt. Let's say in this instance, it goes ahead and it takes enough damage to drop it down to about 120 health. After that damage is calculated, it will split. The 120 health that Metalix had is going to be split in 2, meaning both these Metalix will have, or new Metalix are going to have 60 of 60 health. Additionally, it's going to go down a size, meaning it goes from huge to large. DMs, it is up to you around what range in the large token size you want to land the Metalix on. It can still grow up to its maximum of 19 by 19 by 19 feet. It's just going to start at a much lower number now. This reaction can continue to happen so long as it's medium size or larger, so it would have to go from huge to large and large to medium to finally stop using this reaction and stop splitting. The other thing that stops this from happening is if the target that the Metalix doesn't have at least 10 hit points, meaning 9 or lower. And that about covers our creature. You can find all the resources in the description as usual, including its extended lore and breakdown, which will give you a lot more details on this creature. Remember to like and subscribe if you like this video. I'm going to definitely be making more, and we'll be having some new changes made to the randomization roll tables as of the next video. Thanks for watching.